Hello everyone. The patch notes for update 5.3 are out. So I figured, let's go through them quickly and see what is going to change. I don't know exactly when the update's coming out, probably tomorrow or so. But since the patch notes are public, let's go through them. 5.3, what has changed? Shipyard rotation. Okay, so we get new shipyard. We get the Viribus Unitis, the was it Austria-Hungarian battleship, tier 5. I think was one of the lowest hit points battleships that I've tested around that tier, but not terrible from long range. So that's the thing. The Yudachi is in there. That's an excellent destroyer, Japanese deep water premium. And has with 2 torpedo reloads, has a pretty massive alpha strike on these torpedoes, but they are deep waters. We are going to get a Commonwealth battleship, the Yukon. It must be Canadian, that thing, so I know nothing about it. Black Gascogne, I have no idea what that thing was able to do. Ochakov was kind of like a scout cruiser-ish thing, like a bit lighter than the regular Project 63 or Kutuzov kind of things that you find. Siegfried, German super heavy cruiser, it's tier 9. Black Iowa, again, I can't remember what these were. Stalingrad, I've actually tested the Stalingrad in the maxed setup because I didn't really feel the ship initially without maxing everything out. So that's upcoming. And the Hayate, the premium Shima. So lots of things in the shipyard. There's more anime, okay, sure. I don't mind anime, by the way, just not on my ships. And this is interesting. We're going to get the German battle cruiser tech line. Or, I mean, they're calling it battleships, but really they are mostly battle cruisers / sort of battleships. Let's go quickly through and see what we can learn from the wording in here. Tier 3, we've got a faster version than the Nassau's. It's always nice, but tier 3 is going to be flyover territory. The Moltke at tier 4. And the Derflinger at tier 5, which 305s is... I haven't played tier 5 German in ages. I don't even remember if that is the same caliber. But at tier 6, that's where it gets interesting. This is the Mackensen. And we already have the Prinz Eitel Friedrich, which is also rocking the 350. So if that thing is anything like the Prinz Eitel Friedrich, that's going to be an absolutely excellent ship at tier 6, especially if she gets the speed of that thing and the secondaries. Prinz Heinrich, don't really... main guns are identical to Bayern class, so 380s. Then the Zieten at tier 8, fast battleship with 6 406mm guns. Interesting. So kind of like a continuation of the Gneisenau. I am assuming that most of these are going to get torpedo tubes as well, by the way. So I think the trade-off here is going to be lower armor, but torpedoes and better secondaries. So kind of the Odin Gneisenau sort of style. Maybe fewer main guns, but I'm purely speculating at this point. Tier 9, we get the Prinz Ruprecht, a high-speed battleship with 8 406mm guns. So that is the old Friedrich der Große setup. And then at tier 10, we get the Schlieffen with the 420s. So now it makes sense what they've done to the Freddy and to the Curry at tier 10, because this is the previous setup that we now see in the battle cruisers. And once again, I'm assuming that slightly reduced armor plating, but torpedoes and good secondaries in return. So interesting. I will be very excited to try these out. New premium ship. We get the Orkan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That's how you would pronounce it in German. But I don't know if that's how the Polish Navy pronounces it. It's a Lightning with better AA and fewer torpedoes. Not sure about that. We get the Hornet. Okay, so as you know, I'm not really playing carriers, but I might actually try that just for the history of it. We get the, I don't know what that is either, Dalian. I'm gonna guess here. It's a small cruiser, tier 9. Okay, so something similar to the Ochakov or something what we've seen here. The Marlborough, a tier 9 British battleship, okay, with 16 356 millimeters. So similar topic here, small caliber or smaller caliber, more guns sort of setup. And a black shima. I don't know what that can do, but we'll find out. The premium shop gets refreshed. Oh, finally. Because that's been stagnant forever. And sorry, that was the rank shop I was thinking. No, premium shop. Never mind me. I was thinking of the rank shop. Okay, premium shop refresh. So what's in the premium shop? Ark Royal, Gorizia, Bliska, Terrible, Irian. Irian is a good ship. I can recommend. Deep water it's a Kutuzov with plenty of deep water torps. Kutuzov herself. Benham is fun as well. Thundra, okay, and the Buffalo is there. And yes, the rank shop will be also refreshed. That's what I was looking forward to, because that has been stagnant since as long as I can remember. Unique camouflages. Okay, so the first one's for the Orkan. It's Modern Warships fanfic. Then we get the Hornets. Doolittle raid camo. Oh, look what they've got on deck there. That looks like a bomber. Although I think it might just be cosmetic. But it's still kind of nice to see. So I'm curious if the planes in the air are going to be looking like that, although you're not really going to see an awful lot of them. And if they're not going to dive bomb, although there also, again, I'm not sure you actually see that very much. But still, it's nice to see that. We don't need to talk about that one. And Marlborough's... if you wanted to look like a podium from which to proclaim to declare independence or something, then you can have that ship look like that. Okay. Legendary equipment. All right. The Yamato gets an aiming system which gives you minus 10% dispersion. So better than the Precise Aim 1 module, not quite as good as the Precise Aim 1 skill, which she doesn't have. She got the better one, but still. And the price you pay is reduced traverse speed. Okay, I mean, Yamato with precise aiming on is already pretty accurate. Not sure it's going to be worth it. Maybe. We'll have to test that, but Worcester. What does the Worcester get? Range, better dispersion, and AA range. So no downsides for that Worcester module, and it's basically an amalgamation of the US special module, the AA modification, and the precise aiming. So that sounds amazing. I'm curious to try that out. Bug fixes. This is mildly disappointing because it's cosmetic. Oh well. I can assure you we keep pestering them to go and fix more bugs, and hopefully soon we might see something coming out of that. Ship balancing, that's where it gets interesting. So the Tone gets more buffs because we keep buffing that thing, because honestly it wasn't that great when it came out. Oh my, reload decreased to 9.5 seconds. For a Japanese cruiser, that is pretty rapid. Gets 2 more torpedo bombers, yeah, because these things they die like flies. And slightly more damage and flooding on these. So slight buff to the bombers and a better reload. Yazuma gets more fire chance and better range. Okay, I can't remember. Have I tested the Yazuma? I might have. I've tested so many ships by now. It's starting to get a bit fuzzy. Harugumo gets a range increase. I think the Kitakaze and Harugumo had been already buffed in the last one with dispersion, or was that a nerf? I can't remember, but there was something on them in 5.2, I think, already. The Yoshino gets more fire. She gets the dispersion factor increased, so that's a better dispersion. That's an increased spread. That's a decreased spread and a more concentrated pattern around the center of where you're aiming. And better traverse speed. So Yoshino gets buffed as well. Not sure Yoshino needed that. But once again, I can't remember because I haven't played that thing in so long. The Terrible gets a sonar because after the release of the French destroyer line, the Terrible was kind of obsolete because the Le Fantasque was actually better, I think. So that's a distinguishing factor. The Mogador gets another engine accelerator, sorely needed. And the Kléber gets another engine accelerator, sorely needed. So because speed is really the only thing these things got going for them. The Henri has I didn't even realize the Henri had legendary equipment, but it now gives a minus 10% reload buff instead of minus 8%. So that sounds pretty nice. Nostroshimi gets slight damage buffs, slight torpedo buffs in terms of damage, and slight torpedo buffs in terms of flooding chance. Okay. The Riga gets the AP buffed and better chance of setting fires. Okay. I haven't tested Riga yet, I think. The Grozovoi. I like the Grozovoi. Grozovoi was fun. I enjoyed that ship. Grozovoi gets the same buff as the Nostroshimi there with a slight damage buff. Torpedo range, 7.8 to 9 kilometers. Okay, that is substantial for torpedo range. Yeah, definitely. I already liked the ship as it was, but maybe that's just me on my playstyle. The Nevsky gets a range increase to 12.6. Yeah, I think people have been complaining about the Nevsky being not as maneuverable. I personally like that thing better than the Petro. But let's see what they've done to the Petro. AP damage increased and its fire chance increased. Yeah, that does absolutely nothing to improve the Petro, so forget it. Petro is still garbage in my opinion. Lepanto. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I've seen that one coming. Reload increased by a second. Sub penetration decreased by 10%. That actually doesn't matter. And AP penetration reduced by 4%. Why does it not matter on the sub? Because you should be using sub against destroyers most only anyway, because the AP has the higher penetration and does the alpha damage difference is marginal. It's not like on the heavy cruisers where the sub does significantly more damage. On these 380s, the damage is about the same almost. So you may as well just... This is more of an encouragement to not just use sub against everything. And I think that's a good thing. So not complaining. And yeah, Lepanto is crazy powerful. There comes the Colombo. I'm already seeing the comment section. Yeah, I mean, honestly, let's be honest here, right? The Colombo was that thing was a bit OP. That thing citadels a Kremlin with a semi-armor piercing. So they needed something to happen. Okay. 2 seconds off the reload. Sub penetration reduced by 10%. Again, I'm maintaining that doesn't make an awful lot of difference because you should be using the AP against anything that isn't a destroyer anyway, or something reasonably destroyer-like, like a Mino or a Smolensk. The evil, the bad word. AP penetration reduced by 4%, so same thing. We're going to have to see how much that matters in practice. If that means that she's going to get fewer citadels, fewer full penetration, or if in practice it only makes really a difference against really heavily armored targets. I'm not sure. Dispersion increased by 7%. So basically, if you're running the precise aiming module, then it would be as if you're not running the precise aiming module today. Probably not a massive difference, but we'll have to see. I think the biggest difference here is the 2 seconds extra reload, but we'll have to see how this plays out in practice. And yeah, don't use SAP on things that aren't destroyers. I mean, unless it still has enough. Oh, the Yolo Emilio. The ship that's unfortunately completely unplayable right now. And it's still completely unplayable right now because none of these changes makes any difference. What the Yolo Emilia would need, in my opinion, would have been a massive maneuverability buff or an extra speed buff. What she gets instead is a couple more hit points, so you can sustain one more shell from a Christopher Colombo. So no, it doesn't matter. Torpedo damage increase, that's good, but you still don't have enough Alpha Strike, I think. Was it 8 torpedoes? So no, you're not going to have enough Alpha Strike to sink a full health tier 8 battleship. So probably still not going to... I mean, it's good to have that, but it's still not going to enable you to do the thing that you want to do. Because the biggest problem you have is that you don't have the maneuverability in that thing to get out of trouble again. And they haven't touched that one. And torpedo speed is completely irrelevant because by the distances you're shooting from the Polo Emilio, no one's going to be able to dodge anything anyway. So it doesn't matter. The Napoli. Excuse me. I'm going to need a minute here. The Napoli gets the Citadel protection increased to 17.5%. So the tier 10 German is really a German cruiser, let's be honest here. The Italians have just appropriated it. That thing should be called Neapel. Has now a better Citadel protection than the tier 10 Italian battleship. Well, I wanted one anyway, so if that ever shows up in a bundle, hint hint, Wargaming, I'm not crating for it, but a bundle I would take, then yeah, sure. That thing was already crazy anyway, I'll take it. Now carriers. Audacious gets the torpedo damage decreased, that's probably good. British carriers are dreadful. And the Malta, I mean dreadful to be on the receiving end of. The Malta gets the same torpedo reduction, flooding decreased, not a massive difference. Deck armor decreased from 90 to 70 millimeter. Also, don't think this makes a huge difference because most of the time in a carrier you're not getting shot at. If you're getting shot at in a carrier, you have other problems, and this is not going to do. 20 millimeter less armor is not going to deter anybody. Not at the calibers that you get fired at in tier 10. So that's that. The Thundra. I didn't really particularly like the Thundra. I mean, it's better than the Conqueror, but yeah, let's see. So the reload time decreased from 19 to 17.5 seconds. I might have to try that thing again and see if it's kind of becoming viable to play as like a super heavy battle cruiser sort of thing. Because I think she was quite maneuverable, if I remember correctly. And wasn't there also a legendary... There was a legendary module, but was that for the Thundra or for the Conqueror? It could have been the Conqueror. I've tested it recently and I've completely forgotten. So yeah, Thundra goes on the list. I have to try that thing again, especially since English, Terry, do you speak it? Since she shows up in the premium shop. That's a lot of S in one sentence. And that's it. All right, was this article helpful? Yeah, I'd say so. Patch notes generally tend to be helpful. Anyway, so there you know. German battle cruisers, awesome. Lots of buffs, except for the Italian battleships who got a bit nerfed. And yeah, that's that. Petro is still unusable. Paolo Emilio is still unusable. Christopher Colombo is a bit less memey probably now, but we'll have to see how much it's turning out in practice. But yeah, given how many of these things you see in tier 10 battles, that is probably not a bad thing. Anyway, all right, let's have fun with it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.